At the Democratic debate last night, we all knew that there was going to be a question about the supposed comments from Bernie Sanders to Elizabeth Warren a year ago. And we speculated on the show, what are some ways that the situation could be diffused? What are some ways that it might play out? And all of our predictions proved sort of naive, I guess, and it was way, way worse than we would have expected. Now, look, we're gonna give commentary, JR and myself, on this, but I wanna play the back and forth from last night's debate that is most important, and we're gonna add a little bit of the commentary from Morning Joe this morning. Now, I don't normally think of Joe or Mika as big Sanders fans, but here Mika speaks in defense of Sanders in a pretty effective way, as you'll see.
Senator Sanders, I do want to be clear here. You're saying that you never told Senator Warren that a woman could not win the election.
That is correct.
Senator Warren, what did you think when Senator Sanders told you a woman could not win the election?
I am completely confused as to why it turned from Bernie Sanders saying I didn't say it to Elizabeth Warren being asked, what did you think when he said it? He says he didn't say it. So you turn to Elizabeth Warren and say, did he say it?
Right.
Bizarre.
That's the issue.
That was bizarre.
I mean, it's bizarre.
It was.
What the heck happened there? Are they listening? Because you got to listen when you do a debate.
Yeah.
And then take the question to the next candidate.
You just missed.
It was a miss. Yeah.
But you were waiting to go.
But
Did
this
he
is
say
the
it?
story.
It was a miss.
By the way, I've had conversations, private conversations taken to the press and totally manipulated for the benefit of the person who was sharing the story. This happens all the time. It's clear there's a misunderstanding or Elizabeth Warren is focused on something that was said. And Bernie Sanders is not going to be someone who says, I don't think a woman could win. That's just stupid.
Right, it would not be smart.
Especially after 20 you just didn't say that.
Also, Bernie went to her in 2015 and said, hey, I think you can win. I think you should run for president.
This is a terrible issue to bring up.
This is such small ball.
So this is weird. It almost feels like Morning Joe this morning was Joe and Mika doing like a dramatic reading of Anna and I talking about this story on yesterday's main show.
With a lot less yelling.
Yeah.
So, you know, what happened was they said she should have listened. The moderator should have listened when he said something. He's supposed to respond to the way the person answered the question. But she has been listening. That's the way that they're supposed to frame it. This was put into place. None of the moderators aren't rogue. We always talk about how I can't believe the moderator asked that question and didn't give them that much time. And oh my God, I can't believe they ignored Andrew Yang. Oh, I can't believe they did this. No, that is what they're supposed to do. When moderators are doing their reading, they're not going, so Senator Sanders, and talking straight to him, they're going, Senator Sanders, because there was these questions are prepared, and you're supposed to ask them a certain way and supposed to frame them a certain way because that's just the way that our debates have become. So this is not her going rogue. This is not her not believing him. This is what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, and well, yes, supposed to do from the point of view of the organization that employs them and was running the debate. From, I would say what they were supposed to do, I guess, because I still I guess I'm one of the last people, but I think that like journalism is great and I would like some of it. You're not supposed, if there is a disagreement between two things that were said, and there is a statement from one individual that says it went one way and another that went this way, and neither of them are known liars, there's no outside contextual information that makes clear that one of them is lying, then you as the moderator do not get to simply say, I have now decided what is reality and I hand it down to you. And that's what she did. It made it seem as if it was like that was the exact moment that that moderator wanted, effectively. Or like she wanted to get him on the record denying it, and then she would run the tape of him playing it. But there was no new information. Everybody laughed. They laughed. It was such a joke. Like, are you kidding me? Effectively, that was the mood in the air there.
Well, and even like you said, there was a group in the audience, or the audience in general, laughed at that because it was noticeable about how that was twisted. This audience also is the same audience that cheered and applauded. It was one of the big applause lines when Elizabeth Warren talked about how no woman on this stage has ever lost a race, a campaign at all. There was support for Elizabeth Warren and our other female candidate, now I'm blanking on her name, Amy Klobuchar, in the audience. So it's not like they were going, ooh, I can't believe she did that. They generally would support her. So even in that moment, when this moderator actually went harder for Elizabeth Warren on this back and forth of who he said, she said, they were like, wow.
Yeah.
That was a little weird.
Yeah, and like, I don't watch Morning Joe a lot, but Mika is just being reasonable. Like, if something that is, I think objectively hard to imagine happening is stated, then evidence needs to be provided. We learned nothing new last night. Elizabeth Warren didn't go on the record as saying he said exactly this. Yeah. The question wasn't, did he say no woman could ever win the presidency? Now go on the record saying he said that or not. There was nothing like that. There was just the assumption that clearly he is lying. He said what we want him to say in private to make him look bad, the way we are predisposed to believe he is. That's all it was. It was such a deeply disappointing moment on so many different levels.
Well, you know what? The bad part is it's gotten so far. You guys, we've talked about many times how media is pushing and it has a certain level of bias against Bernie for whatever reason at different times. Well, we know some of the reasons. But it's gotten so blatant that even folks who didn't want to admit it are like, you can no longer just say, yeah, you know, they're just giving the other side of the story. They're giving the other opposition to give their voice. It's gotten so blatant that even folks who don't want to admit it have to.
Yeah. Now, I've been interested in the sort of fallout from this, and so there's a couple quick things I want to tell you about that. I find it interesting, just purely as political entertainment, to always look at people's like winners and losers from the debates. Right. Like I go to Crystal Lizza to learn, what's gonna happen. But anyway, no, I saw one thing that I feel like it was written before the debate rather than after the debate. So Vox, which I occasionally go to for their like straight reporting or whatever, they had their winners and losers, which they always have. And they had winner Bernie Sanders, to their credit, they labeled him a winner, so that's good. I would not have expected that. But look at one of the reasons they said he was a winner. There were several high points. He and Warren elegantly diffused their conflict about comments Sanders supposedly made about female presidential candidates in 2018. What?
I didn't think they did.
What? I mean, I don't care if you support Bernie or Warren on this. I don't think anybody's like, elegantly done. What do you mean it was diffused? It was way worse last night than it was beforehand.
Especially with the post-debate non-handshake.
Exactly.
Around the world.
Well, why don't we turn to that very briefly, because a lot of people are really obsessed about it. I'm not gonna spend the rest of my life thinking about it, but just very briefly. So Tom Steyer was there, you might have seen. They come together, they have a few words, we don't know what they were. There's an attempt at the handshake, she denies it. So Tom Steyer was standing right there, wishing he was standing literally anywhere else in the universe. So he was asked by Anderson Cooper what happened. He said, they were talking about getting together or something. I really didn't listen. What were you wondering what was on TV later that night? You were standing with two presidential candidates. They were talking, your ears were unclogged. What do you mean you don't know? You know what was said, Tom Steyer.
It's the right thing to do though. If I was Tom
to not
Steyer,
reveal it?
Yeah, if I was Tom Steyer, I'd be like, yeah, I walked up and then you guys didn't rerun the tape. I had my fingers in my ears.
Exactly, I was just humming to myself. And so we also have Faiz Shakir, Sanders' campaign manager, said she came to raise a concern and he said, let's talk about that later. Representatives for the Warren campaign declined to comment. I guess he would know because he would have talked to Bernie about it, but if she went to raise a concern and Bernie went to shake her hand, like, you have to know that people are watching you on the stage. Like everything physically that you do, like is going to be dissected. It was, like I'm not trying to read in, I'm not one of those people who's like trying to read into her psychology and imply that I know everything that she's ever thought about the world, but that people are watching and they're gonna see that you rejected the handshake.
Yeah, either you're okay with people seeing that and it becoming a thing from Elizabeth Warren's point of view, or you didn't realize that that's gonna be scrutinized the way you said, of course, everyone should know it should be scrutinized. And if you don't know that everything you do as one of the top presidential candidates on the Democratic side is gonna be scrutinized, then you're miscalculating a lot.
Yeah.
How do you not know that yet?
Yeah,
so somewhere there was miscalculation in knowing the status you've got or realizing what you've got and you're trying to make sure it's seen.
Yeah, I agree. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.